Hello again. Today is going to be a long-lasting all-day wear foundation look. This just adds a couple more steps to what my usual routine is, and because I do want it to last all day, I'm using a 24-hour wear full coverage foundation as opposed to my usual tinted serums, things like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. To start off with primer, I'm going to use the Smashbox Pore Minimizer, and this is very similar in texture to the Benefit primer. So I'm going to use a little bit more than I usually would on there, and as typical, I'm going to dot this all over my skin. And on a day like today, I want to pay particular attention to my T-zone. So I think that this pore minimizer is really nice on the nose and for me around my mouth. Areas where I have discoloration or uneven texture, I think this is really nice to just smooth all that out. And then areas where I might sweat or touch my face a lot, I want to build up a little bit more as well so that the foundation really sticks throughout the day. Now, another step that I don't usually do, a little bit of product left on my hand. Another step that I don't usually do on an everyday basis, but I will do today on a more full coverage stay all day look, is use the Urban Decay setting spray. This one is the All Nighter Ultra Matte. And this one I think is really nice. It kind of stays a little bit more than a lot of other setting sprays that I use. And so you'll hear a lot of people say if you want your foundation to stick more, use a setting spray before you go in with your other products. So I'm just gonna use this all over the face. And typically you wanna let that set in for, a little amount of time. One thing about this nozzle is that it does kind of create spots that I then have to pat in, or you can just wait for it to settle into the skin. So for me, what I'm gonna do is use my Lancome. This is one of the only full coverage foundations that I own, and it's the one that best matches my current skin tone. So this is the Ultra Wear up to 24-hour color, and it's transfer resistant. So I am gonna go in with this and a beauty sponge. Now, using my foundation, I'm gonna give a generous pump. Usually I only use one pump. Today I'm gonna use two. And I'm gonna just slowly layer that up. And I'm using my Real Techniques Beauty Blender. I promise it's not dirty, it's just stained. And then I go and just pat that into the skin. And I just find that using a beauty blender really helps the foundation blend out nicely. I do love my everyday Morphe brush. So one thing you'll notice about this color is it is pretty orangey on me, but I think it matches my neck okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this and then hopefully counteract the shade a little bit when I go in with my setting powder. So I'm just gonna blend this out and layer it up. So really starting, one way you can do it to make sure that you're layering appropriately is just do one pump on your hand initially. Use it sparingly all over the face, and then you can go in with another pump, and that helps ensure that you're not picking up too much product on some of the areas of your face and then skimping out on the rest. But today I'm just using two pumps at once and just trying to kind of ration it out around the face. Okay, and then today, because we're being extra with the setting, I'm gonna use the All Nighter setting spray once more before going in with the rest of my cream products. Now I am going in with my Nudies Nude Stick in Bondi Bay for my contour. And I really like this shade. It's a little light for me for summer, but I think that it'll I think it'll blend out okay. The more I'm looking at this shade of foundation, the more I'm thinking it's a little orangey for my current tan level. So we'll see how it looks in natural lighting. And then another thing you want to do is just blend it down into the neck. So I'm using a really light contour today. I'm gonna go in a little bit into the nose, but because my face is already so dark from the foundation, I really don't want to warm up the face too much. I think I'll probably do another full coverage day where I play around with contour a little bit more, but today is not gonna be that day. And then for my cream highlighter, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills in Iced Out, and this is just the stick highlighter. I'm gonna go above here. Usually I do blush first, but I'm just gonna go in with the highlighter first today, and then also use my beauty sponge, my beauty blender, to blend that out. And then for my blush, I'm gonna use the Fenty Beauty Cream Blush in Petal Poppin' is the shade. So this is what the shade looks like. It's just very rosy. And I'm gonna also use my beauty blender for that. So just dipping it into the pan and going into the cheeks there. I think it's a little more effective maybe if I use my finger. Yeah, this is a nice rosy color. I usually favor peach tones a little bit more and have been playing around with lavender as well. So this is shaking it up a little bit for me for my everyday, but I just love basically every Fenty product. And the cream blush is really nice. I've been using liquid blushes lately. And this cream is really nice. And just make sure my highlight is blended into my blush. And then kind of do a once over, just kind of all over the face to make sure my color is even. And then, you guessed it, more setting spray. So before I set with powder, I'm just gonna go in over the cream products with more setting spray. And then, you guys can see it needs some help settling into the skin. And then for my setting, I am gonna use the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. So for that, I tap a little bit into the lid to make sure I don't go overboard. And then using a fluffy powder brush, I really just pat into the skin. And I'm gonna make sure that I have plenty of powder today because that's what's really gonna set your foundation into the skin and make sure that it doesn't move around all day. And I just really like the mattifying look of the Laura Mercier powder. I think it makes your skin look way more like actual skin, as opposed to the kind of wet look that you get if you just use a bunch of cream products and setting spray the way I did. So I really like this. I think that it toned down the oranginess a little bit of my foundation. It is translucent, and so it doesn't really have that much of a cooling effect because it doesn't have a tint to it. If you want a tint, then there's like a rosy shade, and e.l.f. Halo Glow line has a lot of different shades too that you can choose from. I like the translucent on an everyday or regular basis. So I'm gonna do eyes off camera and I will meet you back here. All right, now that my eyes are done, I'm gonna move on to the last couple steps. So the first is lips. I'm gonna use this NYX lip liner. It doesn't quite go with the shade of lipstick that I'm gonna use, but hopefully blended out, it'll work out. My gripe about this shade is just that it's so light and it's so similar to my natural lip color that it doesn't really add a ton of pigment, but it's still not bad. And to be honest, now that I'm looking at it, I think I'm gonna use a different shade, instead of using a lip crayon, I think I'm just gonna use a gloss because I do like how this looks. Just a very natural, kind of light pink shade. The shade is Life's a Beach. So I think I'm just gonna use a gloss over this. The gloss I'm gonna use is the Too Faced Lip Injection. So this one, I don't know the shade. I took the label off, but it's this really pretty peachy color, and this is what it looks like. So it goes really well with that Life's a Beach shade. And I honestly do really like this gloss on its own too. It's got like the perfect amount of pigment, and it's just so glossy and feels so good. It is one of the lip injection ones, so my lips do start to feel tingly after a second, but it's kind of a nice feeling. And then the very last step is just more setting. So I'm going to do my usual step, which is use the setting spray and then a tiny bit of powder over that. So just more spray. Make sure you get a good even layer, and then just whatever powder is left over on the brush, just pat the setting spray into the skin, and that is it. I didn't wear concealer, otherwise I would do a final setting step with the concealer to make sure there's no creasing. I also did not use the eyelid primer. I also didn't use waterproof eyeliner and mascara, just because I really don't like waterproof on me. I find it really, really hard to get off, and I just don't want to like rip off my eyelashes trying to get my makeup off. So there are more tips to make your makeup last longer, but in terms of foundation, I think these steps really work for me. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Talk to you next time.